I love it. I love it. I love it. Look at this. This is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Hey, I'm not surprised.
What's up, homies? Leighton here for UFC Gambling Addicts, bringing you another episode of The Insight. Before we move further, let me remind you, please calf kick the like button. Really look to target the calf of the like button. We see it week in, week out. Those low calf kicks are very damaging. So target the calf of the like button for this one. Before we get into this episode, I say it every single time we do one of these episodes. The only thing predictable inside the octagon is it's unpredictable. Anything can happen in the sport of MMA. So if I'm not with your guy this week, still stay with your guy. I could be completely wrong or completely right. The same goes for every single week. Let's jump into the underdogs. Daquan Townsend plus 250, Kazula Vargas plus 230. Let's start with Daquan. Now, I know a lot of you guys are going to be on the Devin Clark line, and that's completely fine. That's completely cool too, because when we look at this matchup, Daquan versus Devin Clark, we do see where Devin Clark is going to have success in this fight. He is a very decent wrestler, very powerful with his entries, and his conditioning is very decent for the 205 division. However, there's, styles make fights. There's always one path for one guy, and there is going to be a path for Daquan Townsend. Now, he has a very fast jab. For his size of man, he has a very quick jab, and it's clear to see he holds a lot of power in his hands. Now, he has had a lot of fights prior to the UFC. So far inside the UFC, he hasn't looked great. He's 0-2 as it stands. But this matchup, I really think he does have a chance. If he can keep it standing against Devin Clark, which obviously is going to be a task. Devin Clark is a good wrestler. But we've seen him fade. If the going gets tough, Devin gets going. That's how I really feel when I watch Devin Clark. A little bit like Andre Ewell. That guy is very decent. But when it gets a little dirty in there, when things don't go his way too much, you really see what that type of guy is made of. So for Devin Clark, man, if he gets the takedown, which he most likely will get at least one, then, things could go very well for him. But if Daquan doesn't look to quit in there, if Daquan gets up from one takedown and can force a fight on the feet, I think he could clip Devin Clark in this one. So plus 250 on Daquan, I'm going to take a shot with that one. And I haven't taken him yet so far inside the UFC. Both times I've gone against him, Bevan Lewis and Dolce. So hopefully in this one he can get a win. Kazula Vargas plus 230. Now, of course, I'm speaking about paths for both of these guys. We can see the path for Brock Weaver. He's tough as nails. We haven't got to wait to see that in his debut. We already know that kid is an absolute scrapper. He loves a fight. But Kazula Vargas, man, he looks like a really decent kicker to me. And the true story for me in this one is, who's going to be the guy to get the takedown? Because I really think this fight could be very close on the feet when it comes to the striking. I think Brock could potentially land quite a few big shots with his hands. He's competed in bare knuckle boxing prior to the UFC, so it really tells us what kind of guy Brock Weaver is. He is going to look to force a brawl, get dirty in there. Rodrigo Vargas, he's a decent kicker. You look at that head kick finish prior to the UFC. So if he goes in there with a strong game plan and looks to kick and potentially get a takedown towards the end of the round, then we could really see Vargas make it a tough fight for Brock and a close fight come 15 minutes. So for those reasons, plus 230 on Vargas, I'm willing to ride on that line. Now, I am taking two other underdogs on this card, but I haven't put them in this series. That's going to be Mark De La Rosa and Barella. Parlay finisher, Corey Anderson, minus 205. So, for the homies listening right now, or if you've been listening for a few weeks, you will know that I'm a big believer of the cover bet. If you can cover your bets, I'm a big believer of that. obviously, with that strategy, there is risk. You know, if you lose the cover bet and the original bet, now you're in trouble. But if you don't cover your bets when you can cover them, you are engaging in some sort of risk as well. So there's pros and cons to every single strategy out there. But when I can cover, I will cover my bets. But I also want to be, extremely true to myself as well. Last week I picked Dominic Reyes via decision. Now, the smart thing to make money would have been to end all of my parlays in John Jones and simply covered with what I felt to be the only way Dom could win, which is a decision for him. If I was playing it to the smartest I could have played it, that's what I would have done. But passion is a big part of what I do as well, I'm never ever going to bet on a guy I don't think will win the fight. Obviously I completely appreciate the fact John Jones has a great chance in winning the fight. I'm not deluded in thinking John Jones, he's definitely going to lose this fight. But I will always ride with my passion, and when I think John Jones is going to lose, I'm going to go against him. And that's never happened, but it did happen last week. So if I'm making all of my bets, or a few of my bets ending in Dom Reyes, there's really no line to cover on John Jones. So I had to ride last week. This week, I'm happy to return to my normal strategy. So the main event is Corey Anderson, right? He's minus 205. I do believe he will win this fight. Now, the reason why I'm ending all my parlays in Corey Anderson, or at least a minimum of 5 parlays in Corey Anderson, is because Jan Blachowicz is a decent underdog, and he does have a chance of winning this fight. However, I have to decide, how does Jan win this fight? I think in my opinion, this is always my opinion, guys, so it is very debatable. You can disagree with quite a few things that I say, or you can agree, but ultimately it's just my opinion, just giving you guys my thoughts, right? My opinion for Jan is a TKO. I really don't see him subbing Corey Anderson. Now, we know Jan has very decent jiu-jitsu, and he will maybe look to use that off of his back if Corey takes him down, which I'm sure a lot of us believe Corey will take him down in this fight. I really think if Jan's going to win this fight, it's going to be that Polish power that he refers to, that we've seen land against Luke Rockhold. So in a way, if I lose on Corey, I'm going to be able to make money if I can get that plus 400 on Jan correct. Now, if Jan wins a decision, which that's what the bookmakers seem to think is the most likely for Jan. So I have that disagreement with the bookmakers. I feel the TKO is more likely for Jan Blachowicz. But ultimately, I am riding with Corey Anderson. So, yeah, I think he will get the takedowns against Jan, especially when round 3, 4, and 5 comes. We're really going to see the difference in both guys' gas tanks. So, yeah, Corey Anderson minus 205. I'm willing to put in at least 5 parlays as a finisher. Most confident pick on this card, Nathaniel Wood, minus 170. And it's always hard to pick your most confident play because, I have a lot of appreciation for a lot of these fighters, all of these fighters on this card. But my most confident pick would be Nathaniel Wood. And that's no knock on John Dodson. I know a few of you guys are going to be playing the John Dodson line. He's a very experienced guy. You could say he's a veteran in the UFC. Hasn't been finished in any fights. Very decent guy. However, when I watch his most recent performances, Jimmy Rivera, Peter Yan, and both of those guys, top 10 guys, very good fighters. However, John Dodson is a good fighter that I don't see the same John Dodson. I just see him backpedaling in these fights. His output is nowhere near the John Dodson that I know. He doesn't look like he wants to be hit. He doesn't look like he wants to climb, like he wants to be a champion. He's a very proven guy. He's fought Demetrius Johnson. He's finished TJ Dillashaw. But I feel a decline on John Dodson. He does have the hometown advantage. He has the experience. He could prove me wrong. but I just think a young, hungry guy like Nathaniel Wood, I think this is his time. For those who don't know also, Nathaniel Wood prefers to fight southpaws, and John Dodson is a southpaw. So if John is looking to utilise his movement on the back foot, watch out for Nathaniel Wood targeting the lead leg with the inside calf kick. He loves to use that against southpaws. He's also got beautiful technical boxing, really picks his shots up top, and then he has that beautiful grappling to fall back on. So Nathaniel Wood, man, young, hungry, really talented, getting better and better every fight. This is going to be the biggest test so far in his UFC career, and I see him overcoming the proven John Dodson. As always, homies, leave your most confident plays in the comments, finishers, builders, underdogs, all of that good stuff, and let's get engaging for this card. Peace.